The man police say killed his 22-year-old girlfriend appeared in court today. Ahead tonight, the charges against him and his complaint to the court.
Police walk the beat as they look to stomp out crime.
And a controversial project for Grand Bahama may be back on the table. The Bahamas Tonight starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This segment of the news is brought to you by BTC, powered by Line.
Police wasted no time today taking a 33-year-old man before the courts in connection with the murder of a 22-year-old woman in South Beach on the weekend. Good night, everyone. I'm Keishla Adderley.
And I'm Kendino Knowles. Well, Foreign Carey was at the Nassau Street Court for the arraignment today and has details in our top story tonight.
Police are holding 33-year-old Munnings Drive resident Oman Ferguson responsible for the murder of 22-year-old Tracy Roll 4 days ago in South Beach. Police say Roll and a man were confronted by another man during the early morning hours of January 12 on Bougainville Boulevard in South Beach. Roll was reportedly stabbed about the body and died from her injuries. She was the fourth murder for the year. In court, Chief Magistrate Roger Gomez arraigned Ferguson with intentionally and unlawfully causing Roll's death and attempting to cause the death of Renato Monker. Asked if he understood the charges, Ferguson said he did. Following the arraignment, he complained through his attorney Stanley Roll that he had not been fed while in custody. However, the magistrate noted that food was available at the court for him.
Now, Ferguson asked the court not to place him in the maximum security at the prison as he has been receiving death threats from people who know the victim. That complaint was noted by the court. Nevertheless, he was remanded until April 24th. Foreign Carey, ZNS Network News.
A Bahamian woman faces up to 10 years in prison after she pleaded guilty to smuggling undocumented migrants into the United States. Florida's Assistant Attorney General Lanya Brewer reported that 66-year-old Irene Mildred Jeanette Burrows and 37-year-old Peruvian national Jessie Catherine Gonzalez Urquizo pleaded guilty to the charge. The Florida attorney said Urquizo pleaded guilty to 3 counts and Burrows to 2 counts before U.S. District Court Judge Kenneth Mara in the Southern District in Florida. Court documents allege that the women provided lodging and transportation to undocumented migrants waiting on a boat to take them to the U.S. and charged between $100 and $125 per day. The court documents also stated that the pair reportedly received instructions from Brazil-based smugglers on when and where to deliver certain undocumented migrants to waiting boats for passage into the U.S. Florida's Assistant Attorney General told the media that Urquizo and Burrows admitted that they brought undocumented Brazilian migrants to the U.S., adding the women admitted to taking payment for lodging the undocumented group at various hotels and stash houses, including a nursing home operated by Burrows. The Peruvian national faces a maximum penalty of 15 years in prison and a $250,000 fine, while Burrows faces a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. The pair is due back in court March 22nd.
Police taking a different approach to crime prevention this year. They're no longer going to hold up on informing the public on identified crime trends, including rape. The Southeastern Division, along with Urban Renewal, taking that charge to the streets in southern New Providence today, as there has been a reported increase in armed robberies in that area.
That will be excluded this year that you will see. In the case of rapes, we was being a bit sensitive. Sometimes victims were telling us that certain things they didn't want not revealed. We had to be extremely careful. But we're going to tell you, if we see trends of any major crime in this country, you can expect to hear it. You can expect to hear about the trends. We must warn. If it's crimes affecting females, males, we must warn you.
We have detected there's a number, we know and identify a trend of street armed robberies, crime of opportunity that are occurring in this area, so Linden Pitland Estates, where individuals are walking the street and attacked by 2 or 3 young men armed with handguns. Sometimes you will see 2 individuals, sometimes you will see 3. We have identified this trend, and we want to reach out to members of the public in this area, the community, to alert them as to what is going on in their surroundings so they can pay more attention and be able to communicate with the police with any information. We have arrested some persons and the investigations are still going on, but there are some other individuals which are still outstanding.
But despite an increase in reported armed robberies, particularly in Sir Lyndon Pindling Estates, most residents we spoke with today say for the most part they feel safe.
I feel safe, yo. I never had a problem with my life, and I've been living here over 10 years.
I feel as if the police are doing their job, you know, as far as, you know, protecting, you know, the area or whatever, but there's only so much you guys could do. You know, it's up to us to, as community, you know, people who live in the community to step up also to assist the police, you know.
Appreciate this, what's going on here. I just hope to do it more often, on a consistent basis, so everybody see what's actually going on, rather than just hearing about it.
It's Bamboo Street in Pinewood Garden, and I've been here since 2000, the year 2000, and I have had any break-ins, anybody coming around or trying to steal anything. I feel quite comfortable here.
Are you concerned at all about the perception a lot of people who don't live in Pinewood have about this area, considering that it's seems to be a crime hotspot?
Yeah, the thing is, I hear a lot about people being killed in the community, but through my corner, like I say, this corner, it's peaceful, it's quiet, we get along with each other, and we look out for each other.
The Free National Movement has stated its official position on the January 28th gaming referendum. During a press conference at the party's headquarters this afternoon, FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis made it quite clear that his party is not satisfied that the government has made a meaningful attempt to provide Bahamians with enough information to help them understand the full scope of the gambling regime.
Well, in fact, Dr. Minnis says the party is perplexed over how the web shop question is worded, as it appears to be fixed for a yes vote. As for the national lottery question, the party is also recommending Bahamians vote no, as there is no clear understanding of how the government proposes to develop and implement a national lottery.
You can't ask me to make a decision on something I don't know. That is unfair. That is not democracy. That is how dictators behave. That is not democracy. At the same time, we've asked that the Commission would also have reviewed regulations would have been out in advance, because you cannot come out with regulations afterward when you can have your regulations tailor-made so as to fit 1 or 2 who you want. But we want transparency to ensure that regulations can incorporate any and every member of the Bahamian population who want to enter business. That's fair and transparency. On the basis of that not being done, the government must do one of 2 things. Either you delay the process so that that can be done, and if it's not delayed, then you must vote no so that it can be done properly.
Now, the FNM leader has also taken issue with comments made by Prime Minister Christie to reporters yesterday. The government has decided not to close web shops ahead of referendum day to save the jobs of thousands of workers. Mr. Christie has said that if the referendum does not pass, that would present another dilemma for the government.
So is the Prime Minister essentially saying that the Bahamas is now a nation for sale once you can provide jobs? So any illegal entity out there, if you are prepared to provide jobs, the Prime Minister is saying, come, we welcome you, because that would solve our job problem. The Prime Minister is concerned about jobs. He said that they would have provided 10,000 jobs the first year. The FNM say to the Prime Minister, if he's concerned about these 3,000 jobs, which is incorrect, which was proven when we debated the matter in the House of Assembly, because you compare the jobs with the national insurance contribution, it don't correlate. So the Prime Minister's wrong in the number. The facts are there. But if he's that concerned, and he had promised the people 10,000 jobs, the FNM gives him permission to take 3,000 out of that 10,000 and give it to them.
Parliamentary Commissioner Sherlyn Hall has told ZNS News that as of January 10th, there were 173,591 registered voters who are prepared to cast ballots in the upcoming gaming referendum. 55.3% of them are women, 44.7% are men. Meantime, with some 500 polling divisions scattered across the country, Mr. Hall said today some new observers for the referendum have been added to the list.
Because of that notice being announced, we have had about 4 applicants who came into with their letters to be appointed as independent local observers. Section 104 of the Parliamentary Elections Act also states that the minister may appoint 1 local observer at each polling station.
Now, while advanced polling for police, defense force officers, polling and presiding officers is expected to take place this coming Monday, January 21st, Mr. Hall says the referendum protocol procedures are equivalent to those used in last year's general elections.
Certain provisions of the Parliamentary Elections Act still apply, and time off required for voters to be given time off by the employees, and a notice will be published to that effect as provided by the Parliamentary Election Regulations number 8. Time off, and each employer is mandated to give the employee at least 2 hours off to vote.
Medium and small business owners know all too well that the economic recession caused the demise of many of those enterprises.
Yes, and recent government statistics now show that a small number of businesses are responsible for driving economic activity. Andrew Knowles joins us now with more. Andrew, can you tell us, what does this mean for the government's plan to reform the country's tax regime?
Well, Kendino, Kishla, more than 85% of licensed companies make less than $50,000 in turnover annually. That, according to the statistics from the Business License Office. And Financial Services Minister Ryan Pinder says that means only a minute number of businesses actually drive economic activity in the country, while the rest succumb to financial strain.
3,798 firms account for 98.6% of the gross turnover in the country.
In this country? In this country?
In the Bahamas.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's an amazing statistic. It's an amazing, that tells you one of 2 things. That tells you that we're very successful with getting small businesses to graduate, or the failure rate of small businesses is tremendous.
Minister Pinder was addressing members of the Rotary Club of Nassau on value-added tax and its impact on small businesses Tuesday. He admits there are tremendous difficulties and expenses related to the enforcement of a VAT or tax reform to smaller companies.
Allow me to use the regional experience in VAT as an example. Certain jurisdictions in the region exempt from the application of a VAT tax to certain small and micro businesses. Underwriting the policy analysis that would be more costly to collect the revenue from these businesses than the revenue you would actually collect. Therefore, it being a losing mechanism for a government. As mentioned earlier, we as the government of the Bahamas will review and we will learn from the tax policy reform of our regional counterparts, and certainly we will look at this matter as well.
It's no secret that the need for tax reform is crucial, especially as government revenue is not keeping pace with expenditures.
It is thought that a reform to a VAT system for the Bahamas could result in more than $100 million in extra revenue for the government, with no increases in net tax rates. And that final figure is not finite. It depends on when you implement and what the economy looks like when it's taxed.
Now, the government has already drafted a white paper on tax reform, which will be released to the public real soon. Minister Pinder says the government pledges comprehensive and thorough discussion and will not rush ahead in implementing it without the proper consultation and feedback from the public.
Well, still to come in the Bahamas tonight, where fingers are being pointed over the city markets debacle.
And the Anglican Church embraces history. You're watching the Bahamas tonight in HD.